Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BWH Dialogues show, the first one after a long while. And we have a very special person in Mark Willis. He's the CEO for Accor Group for the Middle East, India, Africa, and Turkey. And this is my in-person interview with a personality after more than 6 months. Call them the lockdown effect, but that's the reality. But this one is physical as we meet in person. If riches could be counted for abundance, Mark has them all, be it his education or his hospitality career of over 30 years, across geographies, brands, IHG, Sun International, Radisson Hotel Group, formerly Carlson Residor, Movenpick, and now Accor. And the Middle East is now your own backyard. You're based in Dubai, and top it up with Africa, Turkey, and India. You have a lot of excitement out there in the world's most happening region. Africa is happening, Middle East is happening, and of course, India. Of course. Right? Turkey is there, but we'll focus a little more on India. Coming to Sebastian, under him, your global chairman and CEO, Accor has been on an aggressive overdrive. Be it the corporation or a game, it is always nice to watch the action from the sidelines. Accor, what an organization, what a set of brands, locations, and a team you have out there working the boroughs silently but surely. I've been to Dubai. I've seen some part of the action. I've just come back. We shall talk about that. Accor in India is poised for much bigger things in India, right? I have a few questions that I'm going to keep rolling to you. Okay, let's begin. Okay. First one. You came on board Accor's executive committee in September of 2018 with the acquisition of Movenpick. And in October 2020, your scope was expanded with the addition of India and Turkey. As the CEO for India, Middle East, Africa, Turkey for Accor, how do you see the potential prospects of this region? And what is the uniqueness of this marketplace?
Firstly, thank you for the very warm and positive welcome. I love the word riches. My career, and you mentioned 30 years, and I think it's 40. I'm definitely not getting any younger, that is for sure. And I've spent the majority of my career in the region, whether it be Middle East or Africa. The majority of it has been here for sure, and the highlights have definitely been here. And you are right, it is a region of opportunity, wonderful growth in the key locations. Not just everybody thinks immediately of Dubai and Saudi Arabia from a growth perspective, but look at India from a growth perspective, look at Africa also. It's always been a world of opportunity here, no more so than here in India. If you look at inbound tourism and outbound tourism, it's been a wonderful journey, especially over the last 10, 15 years. It's been super to see.
Brilliant. Like I did say, your career has been rich and endured over the last 40 years, right? If you will throw some light on your journey, it could also be good to have you share some memorable experiences in your journey so far. Also, what have been some of your most admirable achievements and challenges?
I mean, it's a huge question. I don't come from the normal background of a CEO per se. I quickly say I come from the kitchen, but actually I started my career in stewarding at a hotel. So I come from base level, but an important level. Without those key functions at a hotel, nothing works, of course. So I've definitely come up through the system, failed to finish school, didn't pay enough attention.
Do you have a Bill Gates there?
No, I wish. No, I think I came into the hospitality industry, into the hotel industry. I loved it from the word go. It was an amazing journey in my young career. I was fortunate enough to enter the industry in London during the food revelation that was going on there at the time in the 80s. Lucky enough to work in Michelin star restaurants and some fabulous hotels in the city. Grow out of that highlight definitely working in those key locations, moving from the kitchen, my first general manager role. Unbelievable! I couldn't believe that I'd got to the position of general manager. Completing my MBA, especially after not completing school, and generally, I think key highlights from a career perspective: the wonderful locations I've been able to work, whether it be in Europe, Scandinavia, Asia, and of course across the Middle East, Africa. Unbelievable journey, and this is something that's very inherent of the hospitality industry. It's a transient industry for the most part. Many of the people that work within the industry travel globally. It's a wonderful career opportunity, and once you get in, once you dip your toe in, you're in, and it's very difficult to get out. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So the one takeaway from your response is, for all the wannabes who want to carve a career for them, not just in hospitality, you've got to move. You've got to move geographies. You've got to move industries. The ones who get stuck,
Yeah.
right? So you've done so many geographies, and that in itself is huge education,
Of course.
right?
Of course.
So not just levels, not just organizations, but move. I'll come to my third question.
Sure.
Accor has a rich and varied portfolio of brands across luxury, premium, upper upscale, mid-scale, economy, co-working, and entertainment, right? Tell us more about your current portfolio and the ones in pipeline. Also, please explain the growth that you achieved since you took over.
Yeah, I mean that actually has been a very interesting journey. I think I joined, if you look 3 years ago, we were 160 or 170 hotels across the area, and then you've got the acquisition of Mövenpick into the portfolio, the growth of the area with the addition of India and Turkey. We're now at 423 hotels across the area, so it's been a huge expansion.
That's almost 3 times.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful. I always use the term roller coaster. Accor it's a wonderful roller coaster ride. It's a very entrepreneurial organization, and if you look at the growth across the area, the brand portfolio that we have, and the footprint of brands that we have across the area, we have every tool at our disposal. Whichever segment you would like to enter into, from either an investment perspective or a customer perspective, we have it available. And long may it continue. It's the future looks also very bright from that.
And the pipeline?
And the pipeline is just wonderful. One would assume that 2019 into 2020 and now into 2021, things would have slowed down, but that's not the case. Our signings of hotels across the area for 2020 is absolutely in line with 2019, 2020 and 2021, which has been just wonderful to see. This year we'll open some 30 hotels, which again is very similar to what we did in 2019, which is also super to see. So the pipeline has continued to grow. There's continued to be good interest in investing within the sector, which is also wonderful to see. And of course, from a long-term perspective, from signing a hotel to concept design to building to opening a hotel, that is a journey. It can be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So it's a long-term journey, and over that period of negativity that we've had, especially in 2020, obviously with the impact of COVID, you can see us already. It's a resilient industry that we work in. You can see it recovering. The desire to travel, the desire to experience new things and new cultures, that'll never go away. So you can see it rebounding very quickly. And always, as always, I remain optimistic, as I always am.
The day we stop being optimistic is the end of the road. Mercifully, 2020 is behind us, and very soon 2021 will be behind us. Having said that, why don't you tell us about your portfolio of brands? We know what Accor has given to India, right? Raffles is the new kid on the block, right? And what a kid. I've been there. Okay. I've seen it. I've experienced it. So I have so much to say about it, but I hold it, but my print has already done it. I'll come to that as my last question. What are the other brands that you me look at for this region, the region that Puneet heads, right?
If you look at India, of course, the Raffles recent opening, we have a wonderful Novotel that's just opened, and an Ibis, and again, that epitomizes the opportunity here for India as a destination. You have absolute ultra luxury in the Raffles, and you've been to the hotel.
Oh, fantastic!
It really fits that.
Like I said, an exclusive lake for an exclusive hotel.
You see, and so it's the Raffles brand and what that brings to the table, and then in the same breath,
a brilliant team.
And a brilliant team, of course.
Raffles, not just the experience, it's the people there. Without great leadership.
It does, but that doesn't matter which hotel you go, and you travel as much as I do. Without the team, it's just an infrastructure, regardless of how beautiful it is. Regardless, we are. I always make a reference. We are not in the museum business where you go and see beautiful, but that's it. We're in the people business.
That's a great statement.
Without the people, it's just a beautiful shell. So, and the Raffles, of course, it's a beautiful hotel, but without the team. But that's the same for all the hotels. And again, as I say, we've opened the beautiful Raffles, a Novotel, and an Ibis, and that's a clear spread across all the brands from mid-scale eco up to ultra luxury. And that is the opportunity of India. It is a place of diversity, and I think you'll see that. I think you'll see that continue to increase. And yesterday we were fortunate enough to hold a general managers meeting for India here at the hotel, which is wonderful. Not least because it's Diwali week, of course, which adds something to it. That's for sure. But to have everybody together for the first time,
it was fantastic.
It's one. I love teams, of course. Yes, it works.
And meeting in person
fabulously well, but nothing compares to meeting face to face. We did a wonderful Q&A, had a wonderful party downstairs. Super to see all the GMs from such a wide spread of 10 brands that we have here with a growing portfolio. A lot of questions, a lot of discussions with regards to lifestyle yesterday evening, which is, as you know, a very growth brand globally, super well performing, and we just launched Ennismore with 12 wonderful lifestyle brands to add to the portfolio. And I can see lifestyle coming here to India very, very soon, very soon.
So it's there, but it's got to make its presence felt.
And it'll come. Yeah. I really believe it will.
Tell me, what after Raffles, the newest brand for India? Give me a hint. The new statement.
We obviously, Ibis is very present here. Novotel is very present here, of course. And we have another Raffles coming also.
Yes.
I think the future will see a bigger diversity of brands come. There's, as I mentioned, a continued desire to invest in hospitality here. It's a huge growth market. Yes, of course, the last 15 months has been outrageously difficult for everybody. It doesn't matter which segment you're working in, or whether you were wanting to invest 18 months ago and held off because of the pandemic. That'll return, and with that will come diversity of investment. The nationals that are living and wishing to invest here are all well-traveled globally. They're seeing new things and want to see those things put in place here in India. And you have such wonderful cities, super infrastructure, a great opportunity for a wider brand spread, whether it's in luxury or ultra luxury or lifestyle, premium or mid-scale.
I haven't been able to get into, say, the brand. It's always hard to get an Englishman to say it unless and until he's in love or he's drunk.
Well, the drunk is out of the question. I'm one of the few Englishmen that doesn't drink too much.
Neither do I. I've never had a drink.
That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So that was the lighter note. We'll get to a more serious question. India, Middle East, Africa, Turkey. The marketplace plays a significant role in the global hospitality industry. What is your market share in this region, and how do you plan to increase it? If you can share some country-wise brand, hotel keys, brand-wise pipeline, some details.
Okay. If you look at the area as a whole, with the addition of India, Turkey, I think it's fair to say that we perform at a very high level versus our competitors. Across the entire area, I have a RGI that well exceeds 110. And RGI is a room generation index, which looks at where you sit versus your competitors from an occupancy and rate perspective. And we do very well without going into too much detail.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
We can come back to the love and drunk maybe. But no, I think from an Accor perspective, we continue to do very well across the entire region. We have a wonderful portfolio of hotels, supported by our amazing owners, by the way, without which you don't have anything, of course. Our owners, our business partners.
We're going to talk about that in detail in another question.
Okay.
About the owners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, as a general, I think Accor performs very well.
Despite the background of the pandemic, Accor continues its global expansion march with its luxury raffles across different destinations. How do you see luxury hospitality evolving in the current scenario, and how promising is the luxury market for the future?
It's a very good question. And obviously, as we come out of the pandemic, there's a lot of, and we are guessing, again, I'm 40 years in the industry, believe me, we are guessing. If anything, the pandemic has taught us it is our inability to understand or foresee recovery and what that trend will be, etc. One thing is for sure, we are surprised, positively surprised, at the way, for instance, the raffles has opened. It's exceeding all expectations, I have to say. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on the wood touching. The desire to enjoy luxury, have a luxury experience, whether it be the norm for you or whether it be a very special occasion, that is definitely there. It's been super to see the raffles open. So from a luxury perspective and from an ultra luxury perspective, no more so in a location such as India, there is a real desire to experience that, whether it be, as I say, on a regular basis or as a one-off for something special. And you can see that across the entire area, I have to say. Luxury is still in really positive demand. And
also, I mean, if you were to look at the pyramid, we all start from there, from the bottom, and then we all want to go up. Sure. So do the people who've started seeing hospitality from the economy, they want to go up, up the scale.
Sure.
So luxury and ultra luxury is where they want to be as an experience for a holiday. 2021 has been tough across industries, right? But tougher for hospitality, travel, tourism, F&B, and with a telling effect on the financial projections and investments that are being sold. How do you see the current trends in occupancy, RevPAR, ADR, and when do you see an eventual U-turn, if not a V-turn or the hockey stick effect, right? When and if at all?
I would have rather you didn't add the if at all at the end.
Yes.
But of course it's a relative point. Listen, I mentioned already, I'm a hotelier. I'm in general a positive individual and optimistic. If you look at where we sit today, effectively we're 40% over last year. Okay, that sounds like an amazingly high figure, but of course you come from an amazingly low base. Across all the key performance indicators that you mentioned, whether it be occupancy, RevPAR, rate, it doesn't matter. Of course, last year was devastating to the industry, but not just, sometimes people immediately think of hotels. If you think of the cruise line industry, the airline industry, and so many elements of our business, food and beverage, infrastructure around the hotel, whether it be transportation, etc. So many things catastrophically impacted. But we can see recovery. And we can see recovery in our area ahead of other locations globally. I think that's also fair to say, with the exception of China and the US. The US, because they have such a solid business foundation within their country, and you don't have to travel cross-border, and the same for China. And to a degree, you can see the same in India, where recovery, India is without doubt, and I mentioned this twice yesterday, one of the most resilient places in the world when it comes to recovery.
And also talent.
Of course, absolutely. And that's very prevalent across our area. But if you look at the recovery in India post the second wave, which was devastating, and I watched that from afar, of course, sitting in Dubai, but an absolute catastrophe. But it had a 10 or 12 week recovery, really. And it's astonishing to see.
Quick turnaround.
It's unbelievable here. It's such a resilient location, which is, it's driven by the culture here, by the people here. It's such a positive environment in the face of adversity, and that you can see with the way that the location recovered. If you see where we sit today, I think by the end of the year across our area, Middle East, Africa, India, Turkey, we will definitely well exceed expectation. And I know globally people are talking about recovery 2024, 2025, and I don't agree. I think we will be well on the way to recovery in 2022 versus 2019.
Excellent. While the lockdown of the last year and a half has brought a lot of distress for our industry, most hospitality corporations have stepped up their engagement by supporting the ones in distress and out of the industry across geographies. It would be nice to hear from you on the Accor Group's corporate social responsibility initiatives.
Yeah. Listen, it's never been a more prevalent topic than the last 18 months. That is for sure. Which is not a good thing, of course, that it takes something so catastrophic to put this topic on the top of the agenda, but it's definitely on the top of the agenda, and rightly so. If I look at CSR, or ESG as we are now referring to it, if I look at that from an Accor perspective, we do so many things, and no more so than in the last 18 months, not least with the Heartist Fund that Sebastian put together, supported by our amazing board in the wake of the start of the pandemic, literally facing the loss of hundreds of millions of dollars. We put 70 million euros on the table to support our employees as the pandemic kicked in. And at the start, I must say, I was actually quite apprehensive of how we would utilize that fund, how it would be administered, and whether it would work, etc. It's been a wonderful journey, impacting so many employees, not least in my area, supporting people in India, where we, proactively supported the rollout of vaccination to all our employees with immediate effect over a 2-3 week period, utilizing the funds. People that have been impacted through earnings or loss of employment, paying for medical care, and the fund has been well used. I think we've used $6-7 million, $8 million across our area, and impacted here in India close to 3,000 employees, which is over half of what I have here. So those type of things, I think, from an Accor perspective, have been a real focus over the last 15-18 months, and like I say, rightly so. And long may it continue, by the way.
Something which is very dear to me, which is about inclusion and women, right? Our world is finally coming of age in the matter of diversity, equity, and inclusion. What are your views, initiatives, and plans?
I'm smiling because I'm glad it's a topic close to your heart. It's I'm a long time in the Middle East, where I think it's fair to say women's rights and the amount of diversity in the workplace has been under scrutiny for many years. And I'm trying to be politically correct, of course, with my comments. But I have to say it's, and here in India also, by the way, it's very positive to see the turnaround from a relatively short period of time. If I look back 10 years, I appointed the first female general manager in Saudi Arabia, and I remember at the time the trouble.
That is brilliant.
I remember. I can remember at the time.
In Saudi, general manager?
The first.
That's unheard of.
And it's an interesting one because it's 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, maybe. But it's a relatively short period of time. I understand. We're probably.
That's a statement, actually.
And at the time, it was not a particularly well-received statement, as I recall. But if you look today, it's a totally different world.
Oh, yes, it is.
Not just in Saudi Arabia, but in other locations.
Dubai is the torchbearer
of
the UAE.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm smiling because as I mentioned, we had this general managers gathering yesterday. We did a wonderful Q&A with some killer questions from the Indian GM fraternity, which was interesting to see. They grilled me heavily, which is good. But we did a pre-meeting where we all got together for tea, etc. And I was interested to be introduced to 3 new general managers, newly appointed in the last months. And out of the 3, 2 were women. And this is a very positive step. Without that diversity, especially in the GM infrastructure, you definitely miss something. So it's wonderful to see that we've got a very solid pipeline of ladies coming through the system.
Excellent.
Making it up to GM or head of department. Because invariably that's the future, and diversity and inclusion is, of course, a critical thing.
One big cornerstone of any successful hospitality corporation is a successful relationship with the asset owners and value creation for your stockholders. How do you create value for your owners and all the stockholders, and what are the plans going ahead?
This is an interesting one also. That relationship, that business relationship with owners, investors, asset owners, it's obviously absolutely critical and something obviously that I spend a lot of my time doing and heavily involved in. A key element of that is transparency. I've made a career out of being honest and being clear and being concise, and no more so than the last 18 months, where we've had some difficult discussions together with business partners who have responded, as always, wonderfully well in the face of such a difficult period, whether it be financially or other. By the way, it's not just financial. And that relationship and that communication is all about trust and proactive, transparent communication, openness. I think pre the pandemic, I think we thought we communicated well and communicated enough with our business partners. It clearly wasn't the case, because during the pandemic, we've increased that dramatically on a number of different forums or a number of different platforms, which has been really well received, I have to say, really well. And we've put a huge effort into them just to make sure everybody is up to speed, aware of what we're doing and what the key communications are. And again, transparency is everything.
Like with any good marriage, you both have to play up, step back, or step up.
Yeah.
So owners, a good owner from operator relationship is the best thing to happen for a partnership and marriage.
Of course.
Right. Another favorite question. Like I always tell people, hospitality, now that I've seen it for 8 years, I've seen it from the other side, is tougher than medical, is as bad as airlines, right? You're either gung-ho, or you're not in hospitality. Human resources are that pillar without which all plans can go down south. and the future can be challenging across levels. How do you keep your team engaged, motivated, and making them an asset, creating a strong relationship, a talent pool, which gets you to occupy the coveted pole position and hold on to it?
It's a big question. And I made the statement before that people are everything in our industry. And you make a reference to some other industries. One thing is for sure, we are in a very, very vibrant, emotional, wonderful business sector. We're in hospitality. It's not really, of course, it's a difficult dynamic within our business. It can be stressful, etc. But it's a wonderful business to be in. It's a fun business to be in. And if you can create that vibrant and fun working environment, which for me is what it should be, that trickles through at all levels. And it's everything for our business. And as a guest, and again, you know that as a well-traveled individual, you can feel when you go to a hotel if that is in place or not.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter whether it's luxury or mid-scale eco. You come to this a super hotel. It's a very business-driven hotel, close to the airport. You would, I think, come into the hotel expecting some kind of overly structured, systematic service level, and that is not the case at all. There's a lot of smiling people here, willing to assist and help.
It's not mechanical.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's a big hotel. It's a Novotel. We're not talking about ultra luxury.
It's huge. I mean, I was taking a drive around when my car was dropping me here, right? So you actually spin around the hotel. So you have the Pullman.
Yeah.
You have the Novotel, you have the commercial block, you have the residences.
Yes.
Right? It's perhaps the biggest property here.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
but you when you come into the hotel, you can feel the vibe created by the leadership team at the hotel.
oh, absolutely.
People are empowered, positive, smiling. I had a security gentleman yesterday. I had to take a telephone call in the middle of the party last night, where I stepped out from this wonderful courtyard area at the hotel, and I stepped out, came through the door into the lower lobby, and finished my call and went to go back. The security guy opened the door for me and he said, "I hope you're enjoying the party." Okay, of course you can just open the door, will be wonderful, of course, or not, as you may receive in some locations from a security gentleman. It's not his job to open a door. It's definitely not his job to proactively ask me, am I enjoying the party?
He just makes it lighter.
Absolutely right, and that friendly level of service very prevalent in this hotel, and that's the culture we're trying to create across all our hotels, regardless of what segment they sit, mid-scale, eco, premium, luxury, doesn't matter.
Over the last year and a half, I have noticed a significant change. I mean, Accor was always upper crust, right, top of the pyramid. But there's been, with the leadership change, with the advent and takeover by Puneet Dhawan, I see that chutzpah, right? That sense of positivity which has come in. I mean, you have the riches of talent here.
It's been,
and of course, you taking over India. So,
well, I don't know. Yeah. As always, sometimes I believe leadership is a little bit overstated with regards to an impact. There's only so much you can do as an individual, really. And it's not a corny comment I make. You're only as good as the security gentleman downstairs that opened the door for me. If you can, like I say, if you can create a culture where people feel empowered and positive about the business that they're doing, that'll always reflect in the performance of the business, commercial, service, quality, all those vitally important elements of what we do. Puneet and the team here, and the GMs across the region, across India, and the teams underneath them, that's where you make or break within our business. But there's definitely been a change, and again, I would agree with you. I think Accor, from a brand and positioning perspective, has always been up there with the other key brands. But I think especially now, the last 18 months, I see the way that we have. And when I say we, I'm not talking about me. I'm totally humbled by the way people have handled the pandemic. Look at what the team have done here in India.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just been unbelievable. And of course, I would love to say, I've been the leader of that process. That's absolutely not the case. I've been well informed by my wonderful people on the ground of what we are doing to make what has been a terrible situation better. And that's something that that information I've received with open arms. It's been wonderful to see how people have responded in the last 15 months. Really, really wonderful.
That's so reassuring.
Yeah.
Coming back to business, mice and large groups, along with grand Indian style weddings, if you may, are an important part, if not a very big part, of an asset's success.
Yeah.
Your views and how do you plan to get them back?
This is a difficult one, and you've heard me throughout our conversation be optimistic about pretty much everything, which is the nature of myself, of course. And I remain optimistic and positive with regards to these key segments of our business, but clearly they are going to take longer to return. And there's various aspects to that. There's the impact of governance and legislation with regards to size of gatherings, social distancing, etc., etc. And there's also the financial impact of the last 18 months as organizations, businesses, and indeed families look at the cost of holding some form of an event. So that'll take longer to return. Do I believe it will return? Absolutely. Absolutely. I attend this event yesterday evening. We're 55 people, 60 people. It was very interesting to feel the absolute vibe, positive vibes in the venue. People were so glad to be together. I attended a meeting recently in Dubai with all the vice presidents, Puneet from India, his colleagues, and I was suggesting perhaps in the new year we should do a general managers meeting. Of course, should we be doing a general managers meeting? We are 450 general managers and support employees coming together. It was an absolute yes, we should do, and we will do. We will hold the first general managers meeting in early 2022.
That's so reassuring.
No, and of course, to your question, it'll take time to return, but the desire to be together, whether it be from a business perspective or a family perspective, it will never go away. Teams will never replace that.
Oh,
and thankfully so, by the way.
Yeah.
Thankfully so.
I've taken 4 or 5 flights over the last 3 months. I haven't been on one flight which wasn't full.
Yeah.
If people are traveling, they are going to go and stay somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to shop. They're going to eat. So you already see that uptick, of getting back.
I think there's a lot.
Like I said, I was in Dubai, right? The Dubai Mall, the streets, the expo.
Yeah.
Was all full. The restaurants are all full. I mean, I must tell you, at which restaurant was this? I've had to eat at a few places. I had to wait for almost half an hour.
Yeah. But if you look at Dubai as a destination, of course, Expo is going on, but Dubai is very much in line with 2019 already.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, they've handled the pandemic very well.
For a significantly low level of population. So it's an ideal state.
No, of course. But they've handled it well.
Oh, extremely well.
They've kept borders open as appropriately as they could.
Yes.
And it's been very, very positive to see. And again, if Dubai is anything, it's an example of where we will go over the coming months. And I say months carefully because others are suggesting it'll be years, and I don't agree. I see a much more positive return to normality. I believe meeting and events will take longer, and big congress will take longer, but travel and the desire to travel, as you've noted on the occupancy on the planes, and myself also, I've been flying recently. You can see it returning, of course.
The other important part of our session today is where we are, from your Teams and your Zooms, the entire digitalization, right? Digital disruption across industries, and more so in hospitality, travel and tourism, are now the paradigm.
Yep.
Right? Your views, and how do you get the regions under your charge to come on board horizontally and vertically?
I attended the investment forum in Riyadh recently with Sebastian, our chairman and CEO, and he did a very interesting panel on this topic, along with the CEO of Zoom or CIO of Zoom, and it was interesting to hear some of the figures that were quoted, which I don't recall in absolute numbers. But of course, there's a new dynamic of working from home and using various different digital platforms to work from and interact with. So that has increased dramatically over the last 12 months. But there was a very high percentage of people that, yes, they want to have that flexibility. Yes, it is a new paradigm, but not necessarily working from home. And if you're not going to work from home, you need to work within an environment that's available, open, supportive of what you're doing from a work perspective. And we can see that is already going to be hotels. We are open 24 hours, along with hospitals, but I don't see many people wanting to go and work from hospital, that's for sure. So I think you'll see that shift into hotels. Not everybody wants to complete their 9-hour day from their kitchen table. So I think there's a downside, obviously, but there's an upside as well. And I think that new paradigm will be a business contribution into hotels as we move forward.
True, but and also digitalization to some extent, or maybe to a great extent, is important for the hospitality industry in conducting their business today.
Of course.
To be able to reach out to customers who are far and away.
Yeah. And, that's something it's not a new thing or related purely to the pandemic. The importance of digitalization, social media, the various platforms that are out there with regards to the web, they've been so prevalent over the last 15 years, but no more so than the last 5. Targeted marketing, targeted PR. These through the various platforms have improved dramatically over recent years, and you're going to see that continue to be super important as we go forward.
Now, this one is to an Englishman, in a French corporation.
Okay. This will be an interesting question if that's the case.
But this one covers your family. There's no going away without picking on the off-work part of Mark's life.
On the what, sorry?
Off-work part of Mark's life, right? Okay. Your family, work-family time balance, right? Interests, and how do you keep abreast of all global developments and be informed? Your views.
Yeah, I want to suggest that I'm, like many of my colleagues and peers, constantly under a myriad of stress and dynamic and workload, but I have to tell you that's not the case. I don't get too stressed. I'm surrounded by the most amazing people all the time. I'm very careful who I work with. We recruit at the highest level. We promote from within, I don't get the whole stress level. So my work-life balance is really good. I have to say, I have 3 children. Of course, my family is above everything else super, super important. And team members have heard me say many times, so I don't mind saying work is important. Really, it's really important, and I really love it. I love the industry that we're in. It's super important, but it's not that important. We're in the hospitality industry. We're not nuclear scientists.
Absolutely.
We're working in the most blessed industry globally that's continued to grow over the last forever, above and beyond other sectors, all sectors actually. And I feel humbled and proud to be within the industry. It's not something that's causing me huge amounts of stress. I love what I do. I definitely don't allow anything work-wise to impact the family. My work-life balance is good. I'm a keen photographer. I like social media. I like to enjoy myself. I like to eat. I'm a chef. I like to cook. The industry allows me to work and play within the same infrastructure. So yeah, it's all good. I don't have any issues there at all. Actually.
So let me pull more out of you from this Englishman, right, which is pretty much common between we Indians and the British as,
of course,
soccer, or cricket, or is there something else?
No, soccer. I'm a devout Manchester United supporter.
There you are.
For many, many years.
Do you at all follow cricket?
I do.
Cricket is a religion.
No, I do, and again, I'm here in the region for 25 years, and India is my second home. If there's two places I truly, truly love globally, and I've traveled 85 countries, 126 flights in 2019. I travel a lot. It's India and Africa. They are the two places close to my heart. So,
awesome.
So if they're the two places close to your heart, Africa is definitely rugby, and India is definitely cricket. But I personally was trying to avoid the cricket conversation.
It's happening in Dubai. Yeah, I know.
No, I know you don't.
I told Isam, I said, you talk to me about anything except cricket.
I know that you don't want to talk about cricket at the moment. Come on, not this week.
Not this week.
If it's any consolation, you guys lost the cricket, but from a Manchester United perspective, we got beat by Liverpool.
Can you imagine?
So I don't want to talk about football either.
It hurts. So tell me, you started off in the kitchen, right? Quickly, your favorite cuisine?
Now I'm going to answer terribly, and I apologize because it's going to sound very strange. My favorite cuisine is Indian.
Are you serious?
It's the most wonderful.
Not the curry.
It's the most wonderful. Super. If you are from the kitchen and you are a chef, you understand very quickly how complex Indian food is. It's super complex. One element wrong, and it's just mediocre. Okay. Mediocre. The other thing, and again, I'm sure you will agree with me, it doesn't matter what you do or where you go, you never eat Indian food as good as you can either in your home or from the street. Try the street food here in Delhi. It's amazing. Amazing.
Have you tried?
Many times. The only way to see Delhi is not in a car. You need to get out on the street and walk. And with the walking comes an immediate consumption of street food and weight gain, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to lose weight, don't come to India.
So maybe sometime I'm a vegetarian and I don't drink.
It doesn't matter.
Right?
That's the other thing with Indian food. Whether you eat meat or you're a vegetarian, unlike food everywhere in the world, here it doesn't matter. As a vegetarian, you can eat amazing.
There's such variety.
Amazing.
Maybe one day I could get you to walk the old Delhi streets.
I've walked Old Delhi, but I would love to do that.
Yeah, so I walk you around the various joints. Do you get to cook at home?
All the time.
Do you?
If I'm there, I cook. If I'm not there, no, but if I'm there, I'm cooking. I cook.
Awesome. If not a chef and a hotelier, what? Was this your first choice?
It's quite interesting. It's a regular question I get, and my answer is a relatively poor one. Really, I cannot imagine
not being a hotelier.
I entered my first kitchen age 12, started work when I was 14. I couldn't do anything else. Not at all. I love what I do.
Oh, this is beautiful. I mean, I know very few people who actually love what they're doing.
Oh, yes, I agree.
So
I agree.
that solves 3/4 of.
I think hence the stress level.
Absolutely. Before we cap up, right, I have just one or two last ones. When do we see you come back and head to the raffles? It's a beauty.
Yeah, I mean that actually is an interesting one. I think just before the pandemic started, we were in the midst of planning an 20-day tour of India with some of my key team members who don't know India so well. And I wanted to show them, and two, I wanted to try and meet as many people as I could. We'd just taken over, etc. And obviously that trip didn't happen. And I've been 2-3 times during the pandemic. I was here in the middle of last year, in the midst of everything, obviously. But I am due a trip for longer than 3 days. It's a big country. So many wonderful things to see. I'm here many, many times. My wife is so jealous that I'm here alone, by the way, without her. But no, I plan to come back. I'll be back before Christmas and come and see the raffles and see the other key openings that we've got coming.
So I won't close without talking about the Accor team and your message to them. You haven't addressed them all. Here is your opportunity. What do you want to tell them? One. And what do you want to tell the hospitality industry in India? What's your message?
To my team, of course, as always, I would like to say thank you for all the hard work that they do on so many different levels. Often in difficult circumstances, especially over these last 15 months. So a big thank you to the team. And I try and look forward positively and would ask everybody to do the same. If you look at my LinkedIn, which I think everybody else or most people take a very formal approach to, which I try not to, it says very clearly, we're in the making people smile business. And if I could say anything, it would be that. Life's too short for anything else. We work in this wonderful industry. If you're not smiling, you're in the wrong place. And if you're not making people smile around you, you're definitely in the wrong place.
True. And anything for the industry?
Be positive. It'll come back. It's returning as we speak.
It's already back.
It's coming.
It can get better.
And it's going to come with a wave. Yeah. As soon as flight corridors open and travel becomes easier, which it is already, and you've started to travel like me, that's improved dramatically in the last 6 months, actually. Things will return very, very quickly. Be positive. That would be my message.
Mark, it's been one of the, I wouldn't say better, but most delightful interview that I've had.
Thank you.
And in person, it makes it even better.
Yeah, of course.
We shall have you back soon for bigger things. At BW HOTELIER, we're planning a lot of big initiatives. After the first wave, we were on virtually. It's the second wave after which we cooled down. But we're coming back and we're doing bigger things. And hopefully we should have you and Celestian over.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Right, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure the large audience of the BW HOTELIER will really love this session. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much.